Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Folks, how long has it been since I did a Joe Biden video? Well, the answer is, and the answer always is, it's the concept of a fiery train wreck. It's a terrible thing to see. You don't exactly feel good about it, but you just can't keep your eyes off of it. And the Joe Biden presidency certainly has been a massive, and I mean next level massive train wreck. And the question always is, with this failing administration, this failing presidency, how low can you go? How low can you go, Joe, is really the question. And the answer is always lower. Joe Biden's presidency doing its best Hermes Conrad impersonation from Futurama, as he absolutely shatters our expectations for how much of a disaster his presidency was going to be. I mean, we knew it was going to be bad. We knew his numbers were going to be bad, but I mean, at the end of the day, the guy's a Democrat, and he served 8 years as Barack Obama's vice president. I mean, that's some serious political street cred. He had the Obama factor behind him, the entire media machine, in a country with more Democrat voters than Republicans, and he managed to squander it all and become the biggest presidential disaster in modern history. But who knew that it would be this bad? Joe Biden continues to reach all new lows, and I'm going to update you guys on all of it. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so let's first start off with civics data. Joe Biden job approval with registered voters. Just take a look at Joe Biden's approval rating starting from the first day of his presidency when he was inaugurated January 20th, 2021. Not only has Joe Biden's approval rating completely flipped, but this is what you would call a monumental tank or a massive crash. But I don't know if you've noticed it yet as you're looking at what's on the screen. Joe Biden's job approval, according to civics.com, is now 30%. That means if Joe Biden loses 1 more percent of approval on this specific poll, he's going to be in the 20s. You heard that right, in the 20s. A Democrat politician with his approval rating in the 20s. Again, I think that's beyond most predictions. Maybe 4 or 5 months ago when Joe Biden was around 41%, I predicted that his RCP average was most likely going to enter into the 30% right before the midterm. That did in fact happen, and I could see him around maybe 37, 38, maybe 36, but I never thought that I would see a poll showing his support at 29% if this does in fact hit it. I mean, that's got to be a record or something. And really, to put it into perspective, if you go to the breakdown, Joe Biden's approval rating is already in the low 20% in a good majority of states. It's a really long list, so I'll try to get it all on the screen. I probably won't be able to. Maybe I'll just cut it in half and post the figures on both sides. But Joe Biden's approval is 20% in most states. And in some states like Wyoming, West Virginia, and others, he's under 20%. 17% in Wyoming, 17% in West Virginia, 19% in Utah, 17% in North Dakota, 19% in Kentucky, Idaho. His approval is in the gutter, even in all major Democrat states. He only has a net positive approval rating in 2 states, Vermont and Hawaii, which is absolutely mind-baffling. I mean, what are they putting in the water there? But I mean, this is bad. This is a disaster. His average RCP approval rating is now at 38.2%, and that's with Rasmussen pushing him up with the most recent survey at 41, which could very easily in the next couple days be re-released at 38%. I've seen it happen many times. And so it's possible as this trend continues that Joe Biden enters in the 37, possibly even 36%. And the reason I say that is because I think he's trending downwards. Still, look at the last 2 polls on this list. Harvard-Harris and Monmouth. These are 2 of Joe Biden's favorite polling outlets, especially Harvard-Harris. Harvard-Harris showing Joe Biden at 38%, a steep decline from prior, trust me, has Democrats panicking. But then Monmouth the day later coming out with a 36% approval? That's possibly even worse, except not possibly, that is even worse, and I'll explain to you guys why. Here's the sample size from the previous Monmouth poll from May 2022, so about a month and a little bit ago. They sampled 30% Republican, 43% Independent, and 27% Democrat. I mean, this is completely unheard of, to be sampling less Democrats than Republicans in the polling data, but in that poll they were showing Joe Biden at 39% approval rating in a Republican and Independent oversampled poll. That's pretty expected. Here's where it gets bad for Joe. This most recent number that they just released, with Joe Biden at 36%. Here are the demographics from the most recent Monmouth poll. 26% Republican, 43% Independent, and 31% Democrat. They shifted the demographics of this poll. They took away 4% Republican, added 4% more Democrats. And Joe Biden still lost 2% approval, from 38% to 36%. In other words, these cheeky pollsters were trying to signal a political shift away from the Republicans and towards the Democrats in light of SCOTUS overturning Roe v. Wade. And once again, leftoids, no shift. In fact, it seems as though things are actually worse for you now than they were previous. Left-wing media is panicking, and so cue the fluff pieces. How Joe Biden is like America's founding fathers, and no, I'm not kidding, writes Salon with this ridiculous picture. But you can tell there is an orchestrated attempt right now from the media and from these left-wing push-pull agencies to try to keep Joe Biden afloat. Joe Biden is like the founding fathers. I mean, give me a break. When you think about the founding fathers, you think about incredibly courageous, intelligent people who BTFO'd the authoritarian British regime, sent them packing, then created the greatest country on earth and started a global revolution towards democracy and freedom. And what Salon.com is telling you is that Joe Biden is like those guys. The only problem is Joe Biden is Joe Biden.
Thank you, gentlemen. Please be seated. Please be seated. North Vietnamese and intrepid, and the intrepid ability of 35 meters. Dennis Fuji, Major Miley, one of his Vietnamese allies, Dennis Fuji. I think we're dismissed.
You know Joe Biden, that guy who's really angry at gas prices rising, so he's blaming small business owners and gas stations for not lowering the price and running themselves out of business to save Joe Biden's approval rating? Yeah, definitely sounds like the founding fathers to me. They're getting real desperate, folks. Even their Democrat oversampled push polls continue to show that they're losing, and there's definitely no bounce back in generic congressional approval either. Democrats thought that all they needed was the abortion issue, but most people were able to see right through that it was a clear political distraction. But one thing that's becoming harder and harder to distract away from is Joe Biden's melting brain.
What must be what?
I'm just gonna say it again because, frankly, I just love saying it. There is no shift, leftoids. You're still losing. Your failing president continues to tank further and further through the ground, into the gutter, and no amount of copium, no amount of hopium, no amount of phony, manipulated polling data, or ridiculous Salon.com headlines comparing Joe Biden to America's founding fathers is going to change the trajectory, which is the inevitable collapse and demise of the current Democrat establishment. Best case scenario, folks, this failing Joe Biden presidency leads to a new conservative age. A man can hope, because I certainly do not want to live in this globalist, liberal, new world order that we keep hearing about. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.